Potential. When it comes to Dragon Ball, this word is very important as it is attached and accompanied by a handful of characters. As a Dragon Ball fan, when you hear the word potential, you probably tend to think of characters like Gohan, Broly, or even Frieza. What if I told you there was another character who you're probably not thinking of that has as much, if not more potential than these three? I am of course talking about Oob. Oob was the reincarnation of Kid Buu that we got to meet at the very end of Dragon Ball Z. They were supposed to be Goku's very first student, a graduation for Goku, who his entire life we have seen him train under various mentors and masters. Master Roshi, Korin, Kami and Mr. Popo, King Kai, the Yardratians, and later on in Dragon Ball Super, Whis. Although Goku has trained his son Gohan, their relationship was always father-son. It was never mentor-student. And for the first time in Goku's life, he actively chose to become the mentor and take on Oob as his very first student. This was a big deal back then, but unfortunately, nothing seemed to come out of this, as right as this happened, Dragon Ball Z ended. And then we got Dragon Ball GT, which picked up several years after Dragon Ball Z, both in our world and in the world of Dragon Ball. We reunite with Goku as he is seen wrapping up his training with Oob. This was very disappointing for me, as I would have liked to see Goku taking the time to actually train up his new student, but instead we are showcased what is their final sparring match. And from the looks of it, it doesn't seem as though the student has surpassed the master just yet. Now you could say this was probably maybe a draw, but taking into consideration the fact that Goku was shown to be fighting in his base form and not using any of his Super Saiyan forms, it's clear that Goku was holding back and could have won the sparring match if he had chosen to do so. And then, after this, we get the reveal that Oob's training with Goku is complete and that he's going off to his village. And then we never see Oob again until... Wait, when do we next see Oob? Alright, let's see. Episode 1 is when we first see Oob, and then he departs. And then we do not see Oob until episode 31. So Oob is gone for 30 episodes. And when we next see him, it's towards the middle of the next saga. What? I wish I could ask just what made the people behind GT think this was a good idea. So when we next see Oob, the new antagonist of the saga, Baby, has taken over almost all of Earth, has taken over almost all of Earth, has possessed every Earthling save for a small few, like Goku, who he presumes is dead, Pan, Hercule, and Buu, who he doesn't see as a threat. and has also used the Dragon Balls, the Black Star Dragon Balls, which Goku, Pan, and Trunks spent all of the first saga collecting. Baby has used the Dragon Balls to bring back his old planet Tuffle. I believe that's what it's referred to in GT. I can't remember if it's Planet Tuffle or Planet Plant. Oh, and Baby has possessed almost all the Z fighters, especially Vegeta, making him his host body. And right as things are looking grim for Pan, Hercule, and Boo, Oob comes in to save them as the last hope of humanity, and loses. Luckily for Oob, he gets saved by Boo, and then they become one, with Oob turning into Maj Oob. This was a very big deal, as now the separate halves of Boo had now finally combined into one again, making them whole. And now Oob was not only armed with his training from Goku, but now the Majin abilities from Boo. And sadly, Oob still loses against Baby Vegeta. Yeah, my boy took 2 back-to-back losses after getting a transformation after the first fight. Fortunately, Oob isn't out of the running yet, as despite being disrespectfully taken out by his own Candy Beam, Oob is still able to incapacitate Baby Vegeta in their Great Ape state from the inside, allowing for Goku to build up enough power to take down the Tuffle once and for all.
Got a blast! I gotta get out of here!
So, despite Oob not being able to do much on his own, he was able to contribute to Baby Vegeta's defeat. We take those. Now, the next time we see Oob after this, it is in an episode that's more so focused on Hercule rather than anyone else. You see, Hercule had a very long and good friendship with Majin Buu, and now that Buu was gone, Hercule just felt like a part of him was missing now. He didn't feel like he could be the world martial arts champion anymore, as he and Buu had been essentially running the show for many years now, with Buu defeating all the competition and then throwing the grand final match against Hercule, allowing for Hercule to stay the reigning champion. But now that Buu was gone, Hercule felt like it was time for him to finally retire in what would be his last tournament. Hercule's opponent in the grand finals would be Maju, who, funny enough, Oob was not told by anyone else that Hercule isn't a strong fighter, and so he went in guns blazing. And in a funny little sequence where Oob is just utterly beating on Hercule, but right before Oob is able to finish the match, Buu within Oob stops Oob, allowing for Hercule to make a comeback win, giving his longtime friend a farewell present, and making Hercule believe that he is still strong enough, to hold his title, and also that even without his best friend, he can still carry on. It's a very touching moment for Hercule, but for Oob, not so much, as he was basically used as character development for Hercule, and this didn't really help him at all. Now we fast forward a bit to the Super 17 saga.
Nobody could beat me when I'm Super 17. Nobody could beat me when I'm Super 17. When I'm Super 17.
In this saga, where various villains from the past have escaped hell, this saga was just a mess. Fusion Reborn did it better. Anyway, as multiple villains escape from hell, we get to see the return of General Rildo as he fights Gohan. Well, I say fight, it's more like Rildo is just chasing around Gohan, with Gohan not seeming to be strong enough to fight Rildo actually. And fortunately for Gohan, he is saved by Oob, who one-shots General Rildo. Despite this being very short and brief, this is kind of a big deal for Oob, as General Rildo was stated by Goku to be stronger than Boo.
Han, not now. Let Grandpa handle this. He's powerful, even more powerful than Majin Buu.
Well, stronger than Majin Buu. Now, we can lowball this and say that Goku was referring to the fat Majin Buu, or we could highball this and say that Goku was referring to Kid Buu. Either way, it still makes sense for Oob to be able to defeat General Rildo. Also, this was before Goku or General Rildo had transformed and were still in their base form. So there's that to take into account. But still, it's a W for Oob, and unfortunately this is really the last good thing Oob would be able to do in GT. This is the last relevant thing my favorite character is able to do. Yes, Oob is my favorite character in all of Dragon Ball, and I'll explain that after we get into Dragon Ball Super. Dragon Ball Super retcons End of Z as not having happened yet, as Super doesn't follow up the 7-year time skip from Dragon Ball Z to End of Z, and instead takes place before that time skip happens. So Goku and Oob have yet to meet yet. Goku and Oob have yet to meet. Fast forward to the Tournament of Power. Goku is looking for people to recruit to Team Universe 7. And Goku asks Dende to help him find Android 17. Why does Goku do this? Because Android 17, as well as Android 18, don't have key signatures for him to sense and find. But Dende, being the Guardian of Earth, he's able to oversee and look. He's able to oversee the entire planet and know where people are. And so he helps Goku in doing this. But also, in the anime, Dende brings to attention a being that Goku should look after in the future, who seems to possess a large amount of potential, but that this individual doesn't know it yet. And of course, this is Oob. We don't see him in the anime though, but he is referenced as existing. I believe Goku also references Oob in the Universe 6 tournament arc. I could be mistaken. Excuse me. Now, in the Dragon Ball Super manga, it's actually kind of different, as in the Tournament of Power arc, when Dende brings Oob's attention to Goku, we actually get to see Oob. But again, Goku and Oob have yet to meet in this continuity. Later on, though, in the Moro arc, we get a even bigger reveal for Oob. That Oob possesses God Ki. So, yeah, you can just pause the video right here because trying to explain all of this verbally would be messy. But in short, Oob possesses all the God Ki from the former Grand Supreme Kai, and it's a large amount of God Ki. We're talking enough God Ki to take a drained Goku and power him up into his strongest Ultra Instinct form at the time. And Oob doesn't even seem tired or fatigued in doing this. He's just confused as to what's going on and why this guy is telling him to hold his arm out to the sky.
Huh?
And this is the last time we would see Oob in Dragon Ball Super. Yeah, my favorite character in all of Dragon Ball is just Potential Man. People will make the joke that Gohan is the Potential Man of Dragon Ball, but Oob is more Potential Man than him. As you can see from this meme sheet that I've made, it's just sad. I like Oob because he has so much more potential. Not just to be strong, because he's a Majin reincarnated into an Earthling. We don't know if he possesses the same skills that Kid Buu has, the ability to just copy moves at first glance, regenerate, use magic. Now in Dragon Ball Super, he and Buu have yet to combine into one, like they did in GT. And also, he has God Ki. This is important because the only people that have God Ki are, divine beings like the Supreme Kais, God's Destruction, the angels, and everything else above them. People who train under God's Destructions and angels, such as Goku, Vegeta, and Toppo from Universe 11. Or people that kind of just steal the Ki, like Moro. But Oob is a special case because he's a reincarnated Earthling with God Ki. And nothing is done with him, and it just infuriates me. But not only that, it's his character. Oob is like a blank canvas. Well, maybe not so much a blank canvas. It's more so like Toriyama was getting ready to paint on the canvas that is Oob, and he got the groundwork done. He got like the baseline sketch, and right before he really wanted to do anything with it, he just forgot about it. That's what Oob feels like. He just feels like a forgotten character, like someone that people started working on, but then just forgot to finish. A forgotten project. And again, it's frustrating because he was brought on to be the student of Goku. There's a lot to work with here. Like if Dragon Ball Z, not Dragon Ball Z, if Dragon Ball Super had started where Dragon Ball Z ended, I would have liked to see Goku training not only Oob but Pan as well. This is kind of like a tangent, but I think it would be interesting to see Goku training up Oob and Pan to be the next defenders of Earth, and carrying on that sentiment he had in the Buu saga about working on the next generation and recognizing that he's not always going to be there. And the reason I say Pan is because it'd be interesting if Pan inherited both the best of both worlds from her mom and dad. The desire to train and protect the peace from Fidel, as well as the enormous well of potential potential, and rage only used to protect their friend, protect the people they care about from her father. And then pair that up with Oob's divine Majin potential, I think would have been an interesting pairing to see these two be trained together by Goku. And I think it also would have been a nice way. It could have worked like making Oob the Deku to Goku's All Might. Like going into Dragon Ball Super, we get to see the lens of the Dragon Ball world from Oob, and new young fans who aren't familiar with the world of Dragon Ball could relate to Oob, seeing and experiencing this world for the very first time alongside Oob. I think it would have just been an interesting idea, but I'm kind of getting a little bit off track. The point is, I like Oob as a character. He's my favorite character in Dragon Ball because of what he could become. Like, we could have seen him master his Majin powers and maybe showcase a transformation similar to what Android 21 and several people that make Dragon Ball OCs have done before. But now I need to get into the real reason why I made this video. Dragon Ball Legends. You see this month, September 2025, Dragon Ball Legends has introduced a new archetype of characters called supporters. They're supposed to be non-combatant characters that, once certain conditions are fulfilled during a match, they come onto the scene and assist and support their allies. Our first two supporters were Dende and Yajirobe. When conditions are met, Dende is able to heal allies, giving them a small portion of health back, and as for Yajirobe, he's able to interrupt an enemy's combo, allowing for their allies to escape the combo. And the main reason I wanted to make this video to talk about Oob is because I'm not happy with what Dragon Ball Legends did. As Dragon Ball Legends announced that the next Legends Limited character would be Android 13, they then announced that the third supporter would be Oob. This made me very upset. I couldn't stop thinking about this and questioning why. Why? For weeks. Why did it have to be Oob? To me, this just feels like the developers of the game are giving up on Oob being an actual character in the game, an actual playable character, making him a non-combatant character when we have two old versions of him and he still has potential to be a new character, yet they make him a supporter. I don't agree with this decision. It just rubs me up the wrong way. Oob has, just like how I was talking about Oob's potential as a character in the series of Dragon Ball, he had potential to make a return in Dragon Ball Legends as a new unit. There were several things they could have done with him. For one, we still don't have a base Oob. We have two Maj Oob units that are both extremely old and outdated. Believe me, I know. I made a video where I tried to win in either later last year or earlier this year with Maj Oob, and it didn't go well, I can tell you that. We could have gotten a base form Oob that then either transforms, revives, or does succession into Maj Oob. We could have gotten they could have done something crazy like they did with like they did with LF Pycon, where we get Majub and after Majub falls, the revival unit is Super Saiyan 4 Goku, or we could have gotten something even crazier, like a tag Majub and Super Saiyan 4 Goku, where they have a final stand mechanic, where Oob buys time for Goku to charge up energy from Gohan, Goten, Trunks, and Pan. Except instead of this leading into an attack from instead of this leading into an attack like with units such as the LF Gammas or LF Boo Bros, instead this creates a massive buff for Goku as he's now in full power Super Saiyan 4. This could have been an interesting take on an LF unit, especially because out of the 2 Legends Limited Super Saiyan 4 Gokus that we have from GT, both of them are from the Shadow Dragon saga, and not one of them is from the Baby Vegeta saga. We have one Goku from that saga, but he is, again, very old and outdated. And another reason why I'm not happy with this is because supporters were not well received by the Dragon Ball Legends community. They are looked at as sort of pay to win. From what I understand, the way to level up supporters, you have to repeatedly summon for them on banners, and they only really become useful if you summon them like over 100 times. Not only that, but these supporter characters take up the slots that could have been given to actual characters. These are non-combative characters. These are non-combatant characters that are not only extremely rare to get. Not only do you have to spend several resources to acquire them, but power them up so that they can be actually useful in a fight, but they're also taking up spots that could have been given to other characters that we haven't seen in months, maybe even years. Or they could have just given us new characters. And again, like, you know, there's supposed to be this new mechanic, like, you know, Dende healing, Yajirobe interrupting combos, this supporter Oob also interrupting combos. It's something that we already have characters already doing. I don't understand. And if they needed a supporter character from GT, they had options. They could have used Giru, the living Dragon Ball radar. Well, it's hard to say living Dragon Ball radar when he's a robot, but they could have used Giru. Since we have so many units in Dragon Ball now that focus on destroying Dragon Balls, they could have made Giru. God, I need to calm down. I'm so mad. I feel like I almost said Ryu. They could have used Giru as a supporter that, once conditions are fulfilled, gives their allies a Dragon Ball, because he's able to find them and track them because he has a Dragon Ball radar implemented into his body. If they needed a GT supporter to interrupt combos, they could use the Para brothers. They could have used the Para brothers, who have this ability to where when they start dancing, if they start dancing, their intended target is forced to dance along with them, which could be used to interrupt combos. There were options for other GT supporters, and I just don't understand why they had to use Oob. Yes, this is the whole point of the video. I went on this long speech of talking about potential, talking about Oob's history, talking about bringing up everything there was about Oob just to make this point over Dragon Ball Legends. Yes, I really did that. I spent my time talking about Oob for 28 plus minutes, all for this, because that's how passionate I am about Oob. And I feel like if you were in my shoes in Dragon Ball Legends, not just Dragon Ball Legends, but just the Dragon Ball series as a whole, did your character dirty like this, you would probably do something similar to what I am doing with this video rant. And that's about all I've got. I've been sitting on this for weeks, ever since it was announced that Oob would be a supporter character. I've had these thoughts on Oob's character for years now, ever since Dragon Ball Super came to an end, or well, is now in the custody hiatus battle saga, I guess. Yeah. If you managed to stick with me to the end, I appreciate that. Thank you for listening to me yell into the echo chamber that is YouTube, all to listen to me talk about why Oob is my favorite character of all time. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you later. Stay fantastic.